Welcome to the Kind Futurist. We are your hosts, Helen Mekonen
and Urmilla Khan. We'll feature inspirational leaders and everyday heroes as we open the dialogue on what being wealthy really means for generations to come.
Welcome. In this episode, we are going to talk about the S in ESG, which is social factors. So with respect to social factors, there are so many things that we can talk about and think about. Social justice movement, social movement, and activism. But then what we wanted to do today is really bring those elements into not only everyday life, but also within the business community.
The social really is focusing on organizations that invest in a way that not only considers the environment, but also people and communities, and what is then the net impact of those decisions that are being made.
Absolutely. There has to be a link between social movements and how a company operates and how a company reacts, and then takes those insights and add them into their values, their value proposition, the mission, why are they there, and how they can continue to invest in their people and in the values of staff and their employees.
Mm-hmm. So we're looking at the relationships between employers and employees, suppliers, customers, and the communities that they operate in. For example, an investor in a company or companies as well themselves may look at, am I providing a safe and healthy working environment for my employees? The organizations that I associate with, are they doing that as well? Do we donate time? Do we donate money or resources to give back to some of those communities? And then what are those working conditions in light of what's safe and unsafe, right? Are we having regard or disregard for community or customer concerns? On the flip side, we all know the companies that treat employees really well and they give back. Yes, employees would like to work there, individuals would like to work there, but it's also less risky, right, for an investor from that angle, and there's higher productivity, and therefore you attract top talent.
Absolutely. And there's so much more to unpack in that topic alone, Urmilla. I mean, when you think about gender equity, pay equity, and these are topics that have been in the news cycles over and over and over again for decades, if not even centuries, where women are taking a step back to grow a family, and really shouldn't be penalized to do that. So then when they re-enter the workforce, how are they welcomed? How are they supported? How are they going to be able to continue to develop themselves as individuals and professionals, but also really thinking about the equity across the table and within their departments.
Mm-hmm. Are we hiring local? When possible? Are we hiring individuals from the community when possible? Are we competitive, as you mentioned, on a gender basis in terms of the benefits that are provided? What are those challenging social issues that we're tackling? Are organizations themselves tackling things like sustainable farming or affordable housing? We live in Toronto. We all know the price of a house in Toronto.
And it only continues to grow.
Absolutely.
Well, these are all bits and pieces of what we were thinking about in terms of this conversation, because it's so important to bring it to the forefront and to light with all of you, as you may agree or may disagree in terms of some of the pieces that we just raised today. But there are so many other elements that are part of the S when thinking about history, and what are some of the movement voices and predominant famous individuals that have paved the way in the way that we think about society as a whole. What is right, what is wrong, what is fair, what is unfair. But really more importantly, and I'm going to quote Jason Murray here, how are we good neighbors to one another?
Absolutely. How are we good neighbors to one another? We should really pause and think about that more often, right? Every single action, thought, word, and action really creates that ripple impact throughout the universe. there's a way, there's so many ways we could look at this. And I think it's important to also look at the quantitative data, right? Look at the data for instance, individuals who are asset managers. How are we really evaluating organizations and companies and institutions? And what is the data showing? Are we collecting data on social impact when we're offering investors a way to positively influence the world?
Yeah, absolutely. And, when looking at the ESG reports that many organizations publish, what are they basing some of those points on? Is it a reflective exercise? Is it a comparative exercise as well in terms of looking at their competitors, direct competitors or broader competitors in how they operate? And yeah, you're absolutely right. What are asset managers and portfolio managers and leaders really thinking about when bringing that data back to investors, where they can say, this is a good organization to invest your money in?
I think it's a commitment, right, to continual evolution, if you will, right? It's not a sprint. We wish it was a sprint. It's a marathon, and it's a journey. It's definitely a journey. So I think focusing on these core achievables while being extremely transparent will just allow us all to move forward. Absolutely. And there's definitely hope. And we'll continue to bring some of those moments in conversations as we open up to the next episode. Thank you for tuning in today. That's all at the Kind Futurist. Join us next time when we bring more conversations that shape our world.